what is a tip or a next step that you could say, like, okay, if we want to start to become a synodal church, take this step?
4 verbs: relating, listening, discerning, self-emptying. Remember these 4 verbs. And if you could remember these 4 verbs, then let's do everything we can in our circle of influence to move to deeper relationality, to deeper listening, to employ discernment in the regular day-to-day of our own lives and of our communities of faith, our families, etc. And then self-emptying. There's no synodality without self-emptying. Though his state was divine, he did not cling to his equality with God, but he emptied himself to become human, and even more unto death on a cross. Therefore, God highly exalted him. So the self-emptying is what allows God to fill to the utter fullness. And without the self-emptying, there's no synodality. Because what stops synodality is the ego in the room. What stops synodality is my ego wanting to impose on your ego and your ego wanting to impose on my ego. St. Paul says it so beautifully in Ephesians 5. Husbands and wives, give way to one another in the Lord. That's not the husband obeying the wife or the wife obeying the husband. That's the husband and the wife together seeking the will of God in obedience to the will of God. That means both have to empty for the will of God to be achieved. And that's at the core of a synodal church. And that's why synodality can't happen without discipleship. And discipleship moving from 101, 201, 301, 401. We have to move levels of discipleship. And so what's your next step leaving here? Ask yourself about, how am I relating? How am I listening? How am I discerning in my everyday life? And am I imposing ego, or am I willing to do self-emptying? Start there. The second step, so that's personal conversion. The second step, take conversation in the spirit. Find in some circle that you're in a matter for discernment, and bring people together and have a wonderful conversation in the spirit and see what the Lord says out of that.